Welcome to the Clifton Worley Show. This week I have Worley Bird's Michael and Josh with me, and it's been a while, guys. It's definitely been a while since we've done something like this, and I thought it'd be fun to, coming off the heels of Thanksgiving, getting into the Christmas season, just to do a little bit of Worley Burden and not take ourselves so seriously. I wanted to just remind everybody that there's been several episodes lately that me at the Clifton Worley Show really proud of, and just would encourage you guys to go check out some of these, especially last week, the John Mark McMillan interview, and then the week before that, Kirsten, my wife, got on and asked me a bunch of questions, and that was a really fun episode. I think Michael, you were on the week before that. Kind of give us an update.
I was.
Yeah.
Josh wasn't, though. Josh was not. He was off in some far distant land in his mind. Now he's back, and we can't make fun of it. Well, I guess we can still make fun of it, but it's good to have you.
You can still make fun.
It's good to have you back.
Hang on a second. Let me roll for you if you can make fun of me. Hang on. I'm sorry, you fail.
Oh, shoot. Well.
You make fun of yourself instead. That you just played D&D.
I can do that.
You are now a nerd.
I can definitely make fun of myself. It's how it was my mechanism for getting through middle school and high school. and pretty much the rest of my life.
Yeah, well.
But it's good to have you back, Josh.
Yeah, I miss being on here. It's a lot of fun to talk to you guys. It's like, but with our ongoing conversation and chat, it feels like the Worley Birds never stopped.
Yeah, we never stopped talking.
Nobody knows about those.
Yeah.
Let's not. Shh. Nobody knows about those. That's our secret.
Yeah.
Now everybody else is gonna want to know about them, huh? All right.
Well, anyways,
for the right amount of money, we can.
Yeah, for the right amount of Patreon dollars, I'll slip you right into the DMs. That's
There you go. Slide into them
terrible.
DMs.
That does sound absolutely terrible. Welcome to Worley Burbs.
The Worley Burbs. I like that better than Worley Burbs.
Well, and the Worley Turds this week.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if we're going to tell that story.
Yeah. Well, getting down to business. We'll start with you, Michael. What's new with you, man?
Oh, gracious. Well, it is Christmas season. I love Christmas. I love Christmas music. But learning Christmas music for the Christmas music performance that happens in about 8 or 9 days, and I got to learn these parts, and I'm stressing. So that's what's new with me. So every spare moment I can get, I'm trying to sit down with these guitar parts that are weird and very much more orchestra oriented, and not your typical P-dub style strum a chord and smile kind of thing. So that's what's new with me, just trying to get this music figured out, and stressing about it, and that's pretty much what's new with me. I did get some Black Friday deals, but we can talk about that later.
Okay. Well, what about you, Josh?
Well, let's see. I got an update from my builder this month, who's been building me my archtop Weaver musical instruments, and I think he's near Grand Rapids, and he sent me some really great pictures, and it's making me really excited to get that guitar, because it's just like, it's been a kind of a dream of mine for a long time to have a guitar kind of like that actually is very playable, and is nice and loud acoustically. That's what I'm hoping for. Mm-hmm. So I haven't gotten to play it yet, but you can bet that when it actually gets here, it'll be up on the Clifton Worley page.
Nice.
And we might talk about it again a little bit more. What else is new? Oh, I got my Talman set up, and that was really nice. I didn't get any new pedals since. Actually, you know what? The big thing is the Buffalo. I've got I've got two Buffaloes now, which I absolutely love for what they do. Michael wasn't crazy about it. Probably it just wasn't his thing. But
I was not.
yeah, and you know what? They work just fine for me because I don't know. I wish I could hear what you guys hear. You know, in the difference in tones. It's just like for me, if I can get clean where I want it to be clean and a little bit crunchy where I want it to be crunchy, I think that's about enough. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been my big change. Is I no longer bring my katana to church when I go to play electric, and I no longer use my acoustic pedal when I play acoustic and lead, which is another new thing. I'm leading at church every once in a while when they need a fill-in, singing, which for me is not my comfort zone or wheelhouse, but I'm very glad to be doing it because I think it's expanding my skills and it's helping me to understand worship from a new perspective. And not only that, it's something that every worship leader I think has, not having a back. We have never had like a consistent backup worship leader and main worship leader. It's always been, if you're the main worship leader, you're basically going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been awfully nice to be able to provide that backup so that the worship leader doesn't burn out.
Yeah,
You
totally. Yeah, that's really good. I think
so that's fun.
Every worship leader needs that backup.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And so that's what's been new with me. Let's see. Yeah, and that's really about it.
Josh,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question about your guitar build?
Sure.
There's going to be a pickup in it, correct?
Yeah.
Is that something that he picks out, or is that something he talked with you about?
No, we had a long conversation about it, and actually, that's a good question because it's like what I wanted. The problem is I played a bunch of archtops, right? And the one I liked the best, all of them that I liked the best acoustically, were ones with the pickups attached to the neck and the neck was floating off the body. Because there's something about when you put anything into that top, it just destroys the sound of the guitar acoustically. Like even when I built that, when I repaired that Silvertone, when I attached that pickup, it was actually a stick-on. You kind of stick it on the pick guard and you anchor it to the body, and even just anchoring it to the body with some two-sided tape changed the acoustic tone of that instrument to the point where it was like half as loud. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, and so he actually took this body design, which is a Martin F7 design, and changed the neck angle so that it would have a floating neck over the top of the body, so that it can be the foundation for that pickup. And so what I chose was a Kent Armstrong humbucking pickup, neck mount. I think it's a Jazzy Joe. With adjustable pole pieces, and I've heard that you can pull the pole pieces out of one of the pickups, one of the what do you call those? The magnets, and then it has a more single coil like sound. And so I might end up doing that.
Nice. I'm having trouble visualizing that, but I can't wait to see what it turns out to be.
Yeah. It's going to be a little different than what the pictures show because he hasn't cut off the extensions yet of the fretboard and stuff like that, and the pickup's going to be placed in a slightly different spot. He uses those gold ones that are in the pictures as a kind of a guide, so that he can figure out what he wants to do there. But yeah, it's going to be really, really kind of cool, I think, because I was kind of concerned about wood choices, but then I found out that Pokey Lafarge's old Epiphone that he plays is actually identical in wood choice. It's black walnut and spruce. And so he has the hand wound version of the pickup I picked. And I've been
nice.
Yeah, and I've been kind of a big fan of his sound for a while. He says, I used to bring up a whole bunch of different guitars, but since I found this one, I kind of just bring this one now. I don't.
Now you may have to post some videos of that person. I'm not aware of that person.
Oh man, I've been watching him. Like I can just sit here and listen to him all day. It's really interesting. Really interesting music. It's kind of where old time and country meet blues, and he does really interesting stuff with his band, and his guitar player is like a Django style guitar player, and he's got a great harmonica player, stand up bass. Yeah, so I'll post that in the group for sure.
That's cool. So is this guitar going to be more like an acoustic that's mic'd up, or not mic'd up, but with a with a pickup in it, or is it gonna be more like an electric or like a regular hollow body guitar with like a humbucker in it?
That's really hard to describe. I don't know if have you ever played a guitar with a floating humbucker, a floating pickup, the pickup that's attached to the neck rather than the body?
And see, I don't think I have, and that's probably where my confusion comes in.
There's a real difference there, and that's something I did a lot of research in when I was picking it, because, boy, I wasn't expecting it to go this way. But when you take the pickup and you don't mount it to the body and you put it on the neck, all of a sudden that humbucking pickup goes from being kind of mucky and muddy like a humbucker to being kind of bright and shimmery and picking up more resonance from the neck, and it sounds quite a lot like an acoustic guitar when you amplify it. It's surprising. If you listen to, I'll post it in the groups there, and you can apply distortion to it, which is kind of cool. But then if you just strum it, it sounds a lot like an acoustic guitar because it's got more of that high-end shimmer. But then it keeps the acoustic loudness. Like my builder even discouraged me from putting any knobs on the guitar at all, like even on the pick guard. Because he said any kind of weight on any part of this body is going to affect the sound of it. Because I want it to be loud and snappy acoustically, and then I want to be able to plug it in and be able to apply effects and stuff like that without it being without it sounding like. I mean, I know Spencer Hyam happens to like the sound of a piezo with a distortion. I don't.
No, me either.
I don't.
What does he know? He's so young, he doesn't know anything yet.
Yeah, you know.
He'll learn. I'm just joking, Spencer. I'm just joking.
He'll get his dad under his dad's stripes, and he'll start playing a Strat with the tone rolled off and a tube screamer, and he'll be all set.
So the pickup would be attached to basically where the base of the neck attaches to the guitar. Is that what you're telling me?
No. The neck floats a touch, and then it has there's little tabs on the top of the pickup, and the pickup is wax potted all the way around, even in the bottom, and then it actually has little screws that screw into the neck on the sides.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see that thing. I'm real. And you're gonna make that a red guitar, correct? No. It's gonna be natural on the top. He's gonna put a little bit of that vintage toner into it to give it that little bit of a yellow tint to it. But he's gonna keep it pretty yellow or pretty white. And the back's gonna be walnut. He's gonna put the binding on. It's gonna be like black white binding, 4-stage binding on it. And then he's gonna put binding all up the neck. No markers on the fretboard, but side and top markers. And then the binding's going to go over the headstock too. So man, I can't wait to see this thing. I might be almost as excited as you about it.
Well, yeah, I try really hard not to be excited because I don't want to be impatient because I know what it's like to build something custom for somebody and have them be impatient with me. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's my thing is I'm kind of concerned that if I contact him too much or bother him too much about it. And I mean that's a really interesting conversation we could have that maybe we didn't intend on having. The way that guitar players expect boutique builders to be their best friend for $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that'll start something. I don't know, but that always bothered me. It's like these guys are paying like $1,000, $2,000 for a guitar. That's great, right? That's great. But if you think about wood cost and everything they got into that, what are they making? Like $200-$300 on that thing?
Yeah.
$400 maybe max?
Yeah.
Nah, they're making at least 90%. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, right. No, I look at the wood cost there, and I look at the time it would take, even with CNC machines. I mean, they've got at least, they've got enough time into that I mean, they're not making a boatload of money. But guitar players and musicians, what do they expect? They expect that whenever you talk to them, that you respond to them in a drop of the hat.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that mentality coming from a building side, especially like building something that's more of a commodity that everybody can use, like furniture, right? It's like, why would you expect somebody to be your best friend because you custom built something 3 years ago for them? Or the other vice versa.
Yeah, that's interesting dynamic because I think that there are a lot of guys, especially guys who may place like multiple orders over time, that they get a pretty close working relationship with their boutique builder. I had a very like negative experience that way. Like when I had a custom amp builder making my amp, he like got to where like he was messaging me all the time, like where it like blurred between like the fact he was doing the amp and like just day-to-day life, and like it turned out like it was him trying to explain like, oh, I can't do this amp now because of this and that and the other. And it's like, I don't know if you ever like hired somebody to do something and they're not doing it, but like they're telling you about all their problems and they kind of bring you down with them. And
oh yeah,
I you gotta be careful, like, not to get in deep with somebody like that either, because it can really weigh on you. By the time I got that amplifier, like I was ready to get rid of it just because of the whole experience.
Yeah, it really left a sour taste in your mouth, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm probably the worst. I'm not very patient. You're very, very patient, Josh. I've ordered a couple custom MJT bodies.
Yeah.
And they take time. They just take time. And I message them fairly often. Hey, you got any new photos of the thing? I will confess, I think what may be even worse, and I'm guilty of this too, is when there's somebody who offers a custom guitar, a custom build, and you talk with them, and you eat up a lot of their time trying to figure out what you may or may not want, and then you end up not getting it, and then it's like, and I've done that, and I felt terrible. And sometimes life circumstances happen, and you just don't have the cash, and you just can't do it. But or things change, and I'm very much an impulse buyer in some ways, and over time my interest may wane, or is it wax or wane? I don't know which one it is.
Right.
And so therefore I may end up moving on and finding something else to waste my money on.
Yeah.
Instead of buying maybe a better piece of gear.
For sure.
So I am probably, and I don't know. I try to be nice. I'm not mean at all, but
you're excited.
I'm excited, and I like talking this stuff. And even this week, I've been messaging Curtis Lamberton a lot, or Lamberton. I don't think his last name's Tone. But anyway, but I did end up getting pickups from him. He ran a pretty sweet deal on Monday, and I just happened to have sold a guitar and a guitar body, and that kind of pushed me over the edge to be able to get those. And these guys, I mean, they're just, like, he is super nice, and we've had some just great chats about even non-guitar stuff. And so you got guys like that. And I think of Kevin Equitz, who's just a super nice, chill dude. Doug Cowers, very well known for his, what he does. And he's involved in the groups and chats. And these guys are all making great guitars and running businesses and trying to put, food on the table. And so it can be tough. It's a balance. If I'm interested, and then I do want to chat a little bit, but at the same time, you're right. You don't want to overextend somebody. And I'm going to shut up now because I just keep talking.
No, that's the thing. It's like I sometimes wonder about, like, people talk about the fella from Full Tone being kind of salty, right?
Yeah.
and you know what? He's not wrong in anything he says.
Yeah.
And that's what I find so funny. It's like, okay, he's not wrong in anything he says. He says it in a way I find hilarious.
Yeah.
But people think because they bought an OCD 10 years ago, he should be licking their boots.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe that's, and you know what? I think that's partially maybe an American culture thing, if you think about it. Because a cobbler in Germany somewhere is like expected to make shoes, right? Or a really fine tailor is expected to make a suit. An artisan is supposed to be an artisan. He doesn't always have to be this super sweet dude that will have a conversation. Now, it's great if he is, but I mean, if I have a surgeon that's going to cut me open, I want that surgeon to be awfully good with me. I don't give a rip about his bedside manner. Maybe that's me.
Yeah.
My son had surgery, and our doctor did not have very good. He was just awkward to talk to. He did a great job, but he was just super awkward to talk to.
But I'm gonna.
You're right. Would you rather have somebody who's an expert at what they do, or be super friendly? And honestly, I kind of want both.
I'm gonna jump on the other side of that, though. So,
go ahead.
I'm gonna say that in the music community, I think there's an expectation that you can hang well, and keep your composure together, and treat everybody nicely, because like going to these trade shows, like your impression of those people on the floor a lot of times is the only impression you have of those people. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of these the majority of these guys are small business owners in the boutique world. They're not these faceless corporations. So everything they do is their face, and they've got to put a good face forward. And, I see it all the time. Somebody who's a boutique builder who does or says something that's questionably inappropriate, everybody gets upset at them, because they expect that you're part of this really cool community, you ought to act this way, and hold yourself to these certain standards, and people get upset. And the fact is, like, if you were a faceless corporation, people wouldn't be staring at you like that, or they'd say, like, oh, Gibson, like, oh, they're terrible, they do all these terrible things and whatever, and that's just some big conglomerate. They're not talking about the people that work there, because they don't know them. They can't name them by name. And so I think it's a little different in the gear community. Like, there's this layer, there's this expectation that people carry with them, especially the buyers, the customers who are buying these things, are expecting more than an average consumer. I guess if that makes any sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What I'm thinking, though, is that if on one hand you expect that small business, that one person, that one dude, you expect them to have the PR of a big PR management of themselves, like a big company, and that's that's my problem. It's like if say, that's the interesting thing that you see blow up in these community things, and it's what's kind of made my interest in the communities pale a little bit. It's like you watch people who are being people because they're people. They're like one person making these pedals, and they're making 100 pedals, they're making 50 pedals, or they're making 20 guitars a year, right? And they're barely, they're making a living at it, which is awesome. And then they make a stupid mistake with words, or they make a stupid mistake in one comment, and then they get blown up as if they're a big company with a PR firm. It's different when you're a single person, and it's like, okay, you expect them to be your friend, they're your friends, until they mess up, and then they're the company, and that's what bothers me. It's like you can attack them. Go ahead.
I'm going to push back on that just a little, because somebody that's involved in the community, and they may mess up, but it's how they respond to what happened. Some people dig their heels in, and they think they're right, and there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying the majority is always right, that's not what I'm saying, but there are times when it's like, dude, chill, this was not a good post, or this was not a good reaction, and all you're doing is pushing everybody away, even people that may have not been offended at the original post. You're just coming across really, really bad.
I agree.
And I have personally seen some reactions to things, and it just made me, I'm not necessarily mad at that builder. I'm not necessarily like on a mission to stamp them out, but I just don't want their stuff. I just, if I had some things, I may have moved it on. Not immediately, not out of a knee-jerk reaction, but I've sold some pedals that I'm just like, I just don't really want to have these anymore, and I don't want to buy anything from that person anymore. So I think being involved, if you're a small builder and you're involved in a community, it can be a great asset, and it can also be a great deterrent to who you are. Because Boss, I don't know anything about the person that runs Boss. I don't know anything about his moral compass or his personal life, and so I have no connection with either for or against Boss. My only connection is, I like this pedal. This does what I needs it to do. It's reliable, blah, blah, blah. But somebody who's involved in the community and, I may love their pedal, I may love their stuff, but if I look at them and I'm just like, ugh, you're just making some not good decisions in how you're reacting to everybody, then I'm just going to steer clear and I'm going to move on and just not support. And so I think it can be a great asset, and I think you can get some people in your corner, especially even if you mess up and you say, I'm so sorry, teach me what did I do wrong here, what's the thought process, where did I step out of line. But if you just push back and have a knee-jerk reaction and dig your heels in, it's just not going to be good.
I want to be clear that I'm not saying anything specific about any specific person. And the reason I'm saying this is because I see this happen in smaller ways. When it's a big blow up and it's an obvious blow up, like the ones that have happened recently that we don't need to talk about.
We'll talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. It's stupid.
I'm just joking.
I know. But here's the thing. When it's that kind of stuff, I mean, that's somebody imploding, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's like if that person was in person doing that, I wouldn't hang out with that person anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that, on social media, if you do something and you realize, oh my goodness, it was taken wrong, and like Michael says, immediately step back and say, hey, I didn't realize it could be taken that way. I'm so sorry. That's what people expect, I think, right? And that's an okay response, right? So after all this talking, hey, Clifton, what's new with you?
Oh, man. Yeah, I was fixing to go down the rabbit hole of really talking about that, and maybe I'll save that for another day.
Oh, boy. Let it cool off, dude.
Yeah, I'm fixing to go off. No, what's new with me is I've not been doing anything new gear-wise. I'm kind of settling in on that and enjoying playing the Cower Arcturus, through the Princeton, and I've been playing the same Gabriel Tenorio strings on my Taylor all year long, which is a good testament to how much I love those strings. What else is new? I went ahead and I said I wasn't going to do it, but I guess I could give credit to RJ Smith for pushing me a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I decided to go ahead and try to go to NAMM, Winter NAMM. And so
nice.
Yeah, I'm scheduled to go out there and stay with a bunch of the other podcaster dudes, and I'm hoping I'm going to stay a little bit longer this time. Last time I went like on a Wednesday and came home on a Saturday, which I missed a lot of the NAMM because I only went like Thursday and part of the day Friday and then flew back on Saturday. This time I'm going for the duration, and so I'm hoping to make the most of it and capture the most content that I possibly can and meet as many of the people that we know through this show. I'm just going to try to maximize it more than I've ever, I think this is like my second Winter NAMM, but about my third or fourth like NAMM. So awesome. Trying to really, make the most of it. And, hey, if you're listening and you're going to be there and we haven't discussed it already, I would love to talk to you and set up a time to cross paths somewhere. And I'd love to meet everybody that that's in this circle, and get to see everybody while I'm out there.
Well, not everybody, but we won't name any names.
Gosh.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm excited. I'm excited you're going because I consider you my personal correspondent.
Okay.
Go check this out. Go check that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Hey. Well,
That's
in
a good
fairness,
thing.
you did put it out there when you were at NAMM last year, like, hey, what should I check out? And I'm like, oh, check this out. And you did, and I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and I will go do that if I can. Even though it's about a mile to walk across the building, and so you kind of have to come up with a game plan.
For sure.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm kind of gearing up towards that, and thinking about how I'm gonna tackle that. And as far as gear, I've kind of held off because of planning for NAMM, and just trying to be a little conservative. I did see something today, though, and this brings us to our next topic, that really wanted me to fall off the wagon. There was a Silvertone 1482, I believe, which is like their 12-inch speaker, but I think it's like a 5-watt combo.
Nice combination, though.
Yeah. And it came up for sale on Craigslist out of New Orleans, and they were asking $200 for it. And I, for about 30 minutes, went bonkers. Thinking about if I wanted to get this amp. I mean, I think it's a great deal. The top of the cab was damaged a little bit, but I would be really concerned if it, like, the chassis mounted in it where, like, it was top loaded, but the chassis is like side loaded. So the top of the cabinet's really like if you took your, like a Fender amp and flipped it up on its side. And so the thing about that is that I don't know if that's a wooden cabinet or like a masonite cabinet, or it looks really cheap on those.
They always do, don't they?
Yeah, and I don't know what the extent of, if you could really repair that and make it look right. I think that's out of my wheelhouse.
I think you could. I think you could repair it and make it look right, but
yeah.
The thing is that, I mean, like you said, they normally go for $450, $500 in perfect shape, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you keep it, to be honest with you. I think you would keep it probably, something like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like another Boogie situation.
Oh.
Like when you got that, it doesn't look rusty and dirty, and it doesn't look manky on the inside.
Like it went swimming in the bottom of a river for a little while.
Yes.
Yeah, which has got to be a concern for you guys down there. With occasional hurricanes and stuff.
Yeah, you don't know what something's been exposed to around here, and it's such a high humidity situation that I've seen a lot of amps that you crank them open and there's corrosion inside, and
for sure.
It's, you never know it, and that's kind of my next point with this is you never know what you're getting into. Yes, it's probably going to need a cap job. It's probably going to need a 3-prong power cord put on it instead of a 2-prong. It's going to need certain things. You start going down that rabbit hole though, and you're looking at $50 here in parts, and maybe another $25-$30 here if that doesn't work, and it starts adding up. And for me,
and probably probably all that adds up to a nice Kemper that you can get, and you can just get that profile and not have all those issues.
Or a Pro Junior, or a Classic 30, or one of those Epiphone 5-watt amps, little heads. I mean, there's all sorts. That's the thing. Nowadays, there's so many of those little 5 watts that are really nicely built that'll probably do you just fine. And plus, we were talking about it, Clifton. Don't you already have a pedal that replicates that amp?
I do.
Yeah, but it was super cool. I mean, if I had saw that for $200, I might consider it too.
Yeah.
I don't have any tube amps anymore, and 5 watts is just perfect. And the 5 watts running through a 12-inch speaker is something kind of magical. You know, it has a really nice. It'll have a really great sound. It'll probably have a little bit more headroom because of the big speaker. But who knows? I mean, yeah. I remember playing. We had a shop had a Kalamazoo, really early Kalamazoo with 1 tube in it, 5 watts, 1 knob. When I was a kid, and I just loved playing through that thing. That was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's nothing like an old 5-watt amp.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that stuff, anyways. You know.
Yeah.
It's definitely got mojo. I will give it that. It's got the mojo.
Yeah.
It looks super. It does look super cool.
Oh yeah. So that's something that we can talk about for a little bit. Wants versus needs. I mean, it's pretty easy for us to want something like that, right? I mean, there's been a lot of instances in my life I know where I've really wanted something, but I couldn't justify it by needing it, you know. And I've always been one that has to do that. And it's for better or worse. I've passed up some things I probably should have gotten, and I've bought some things that I needed that left me flat. You know. Is there anything that you guys ever wanted really bad, got it, and had absolutely no use for it, musically?
Oh gracious!
Like, you always wanted the thing, you get the thing, and you're like, "What the heck am I going to do with this?" Where am I going to use it?
Maybe a Kemper? No, I'm just joking.
I mean,
I will say this. There was one time I saw a guitar in the shop. I really liked it, but I didn't get it, and I picked another guitar over it, and I got that guitar. And I always regretted not getting both of them. No, I'm sure. Well, actually, I did. Because what happened is later, I don't know, like 6 months to 8 months down the road, a used one popped up in that same store for a super good price, and I bought it. And that was the Gretsch, that Fairlane Blue Gretsch guitar that I had. And I kept it for a while, and I played it here and there, but it got to the point where I didn't play it. I picked the other guitar over it. And so I finally was like, okay, I got to move this thing on. I have some other things I want to get. So I've sold it. And you know, I still, there's occasions where I miss it, but I'm like, well, but I sold it. You know, I had it, and I needed to move it on and let it go. So that happened. I think I have bought more things because I passed something up earlier, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I get that completely. Like you saw what you really wanted and you missed it, and something that you kind of want comes by, and then you snap it up thinking it'll scratch that itch, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is. I'm going to try my best to make a good analogy about this. Okay, this has kind of been part of my gear journey through the years, and we've talked about this on the show several times. My gear journey is kind of like where you're trying to find out what you want and what you need. And it's kind of like when you used to settle for one of those frozen pans of lasagna for dinner and you thought that was amazing. You know, like from Costco or Sam's. And then your taste buds develop and you want something. You know exactly the ingredients that you need to get there, right? And you start, going down that road, cooking it yourself and putting the time and effort. I feel like that's kind of how gear is. Like, there's a lot of one-size-fits-all solutions out there for the younger or beginner player. But when you've been playing for a while, you figure out what you like, and you get those ingredients for that recipe for your sound, whatever that is. Like, you and you guys and myself, like, we all have a different approach to playing and the tools that we use. And so I know the recipe. I've kind of got my recipe of how I'm going to make sound. And if I can't get that, then I know I need to get this. You know, I know what pieces I need to make the sound that I want to make. Okay. Every now and then I want to shake it up, and I'm tired of eating red beans and rice, right? I want to eat tacos. But we all kind of get to that point. So we want things and we want to try new things, but maybe like we realize that doesn't work out for us. We realize we don't need those things. And that's the point where like I usually start like flipping and selling off gear. I don't need this. This is taking up space. This is keeping me from really ultimately getting what I need to get. Okay?
Yeah.
And I've came to that point with guitars. Like, how many $200-$300 guitars do I want to own that are just meh?
Bingo.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Bingo.
I think
There's
that's
$130 Squire Strat at my local guitar store, and it plays fantastic. Like, I picked it up, it just felt nice.
Yeah.
The frets felt great. Everything felt great about it, but I was like, I don't need this. I have other Strats. I have other guitars. I don't need this. Walk away.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, I think, because I think there's an awful lot of people with big piles of guitars, and you see this all the time on Craigslist, you know, selling my lot of guitars, and it's like $2,300 guitars or $200 guitars, a couple $1,000 guitars and all that. But the thing is, you go over there and you talk to them, and like they play 3 or 4 chords and they can't really play a song.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just kind of collect. They kind of like something and they get the idea. Well, I'm going to use it, and they buy it instead of like sitting down and practicing. Sitting down.
Well,
and saying,
at least they have a hobby they can flip something. At least
true.
that. Guitars do hold value. Even if it's not full value, it at least holds some value, because there's a lot of things that you buy it and it's gone, and and that's it, you know.
Like consumer electronics.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
and I'm no one I can't talk. I have a lot of guitars, and I'm not going to disclose how many I have, but I have way more than I need, but I love them all.
Yeah.
I have 5, I think. 5, yeah, but I don't. Well, I've got 5, I think. I've got 3 that I actually play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But I don't think it's a number of it. I think it's you see something and you want it and you don't really need it at all, but you want it really badly. I don't know. I mean, that's really a hard thing to talk about, because it's kind of what the gear world is based on as far as like the communities go. You know, you get something, you keep it for a while, then you sell it, or you trade it off, or you do something different with it. Actually, I was kind of thinking about that in relation to your amp journey and your electric guitar journey there, Clifton.
Okay.
Thinking about, because it's like, I think in a lot of ways you got your dream guitar and kind of your dream amp, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're still kind of trying to find a place where you can use it fairly regularly. And I think that's kind of interesting because I think a lot of people get like that. I think you'll get exactly what you want. You realize, oh, wait a second, I've got to adjust what I do to make what I want work with what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, I know with me when I started playing electric again, that was kind of the same thing. I wanted a certain sound, but it just did not work with the team. And so I had to go for a sound that was way more aggressive than what I wanted. I don't really like distortion a lot. I prefer not to use much drive at all. Mm-hmm. But they want drive, so that's what I use.
I'm unfriending you right now on Facebook. I'm unfriending you.
I mean,
you don't like distortion.
No, I'm serious. It's fun to hair up your sound, but I mean, what I'd like is a little tiny bit of hair on a little tiny bit of growl on my sound, and that's about it. But what really works for the team is a more aggressive sound, and so that's what I built my board towards, and I had to find my voice in that. And so I think it's kind of interesting that, you know, and you're kind of in the situation I'm probably going to be in a month when I get my guitar. And I'm going to be like, well, how am I going to make this work?
Yeah.
How am I going to make this work? I know that I want it, and I know I want it to work.
It's like, I bought this crazy expensive snap-on tool, and I've I've got to make it work. Like it's gotta be my main tool that I use, because I just spent way more than I would if I went down to Ace Hardware and got it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. But the thing is that I think that just having that has made a big difference for you. I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. Having it has made a difference for you in your playing, for everything.
Yeah, having a guitar that you connect with is super important. I think I like my amp because it's kind of I can do pretty much everything I want to out of that amp, but not have like overkill. So it's everything that I need. I'm still in that situation where I play in church and they don't want an amp that's on stage that's pumping a lot of volume. So I'm kind of having to rethink. That's where I'm at as a player. Is I love to hear that sound, but.
Yeah.
So I got to figure that one out. That may lead me down a journey of finding a good direct option. Which
I know one.
I know 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I was going to a different route. Back to the needs versus wants. I have a Kemper. I love this thing. I can pull up so many different things. I have found that I pretty much go to one profile about 90% of the time for the things I play at church. But at home, I play a lot of other different. I found some other profiles I just really like right now. But back to the needs versus wants, I really, really want an HX Stomp. I've been very interested in the Helix line for a while, even as a Kemper user. And I love the Kemper, and I think it's better than the Helix, and I'll fight anybody who thinks differently. But I'm just kidding. I don't want to fight. But I like what Helix is doing. I like that family of products, but what I want it for is a backup unit. And I have this Firebox, and I've used it, and I think it sounds good. But there's part of me that just wishes it had a little more capabilities, just a few more buttons to do things. And that HX Stomp looks super appealing to me as a backup unit. And honestly, I'm to the point where I love my Kemper, and I know if you're a Kemper player and you used to carry amps everywhere, you think the Kemper's so light. But there's times where I'm like, oh, this is heavy. I almost kind of want to get to the point where I throw something in my gig bag and that's it, and walk into the church with my guitar on my back and my unit of the HX Stomp in the bag, and that's it. But that HX Stomp, I mean, it just looks so versatile, and even if I got it, I could use it in front of the Kemper for different drives, for specific reverbs that the Kemper does. I mean, or not the Kemper, but the HX Stomp. It's just a super versatile thing. You can run it in front of an amp for effects, or you can make it the amp and run pedals into it. I mean, it's just so versatile. I really think they knocked that thing out of the park, just from everything I've heard.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things where I really don't need it, but man, I want it.
Yeah.
I want that thing.
I would love to. I think
that might be a good thing for you.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna have to own something and have it for several months to really know if I want it.
Yeah.
And
I can see that. Yeah.
I can't just. That's a big investment to make, to kind of be willy-nilly on it for me. Like, I'm gonna have to probably get to the point where I'm like, okay, let's see if this is the solution. I'm gonna invest in this tool. If it is not, then full intention is to turn around and buy it at a price to where I could turn around and sell it and get most of my money back and go to the next tool.
Yeah, that's what
I'm thinking. About 6 months, you'll see the HX Stomp being on the used market.
For sure.
I could be wrong, but about 6 months, I'm thinking. It may hold its value pretty good, but we'll see.
But it's line 6. Line 6 makes so many things, and they make things in such large quantities. And there's going to be a number of people who get it, just like the Helix. There will be people who get it, they put it on the floor, they try to use it, they can't understand it because they don't read the manual, and then they sell it on Reverb. And I mean, that's one nice thing about that stuff. That's actually even appealing to me, that stomp, because that could easily replace all the pedals, and it could replace 2 boards that I'm carrying right now. And it'll be, and it'll be lighter than either of the boards. And I mean, it could be my acoustic board and my electric board, and it could be my amp. And I'm used to, that's the thing I'm used to now. And Michael, you're used to it too, playing without an amp pushing at your face. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely hearing Jamie Davis saying that, well, he played with just the stomp one week. It's just the HX stomp, 3 buttons, and that's it. I mean, I could do that, and I think that most of us could.
Honestly, that post made me want one more than anything else, because that dude has so many pedals and has had experience with the Helix enough that if that thing can scratch that itch for him and fill that need, then that's where I want to go.
For sure. That's the big thing. It's like you see somebody who could basically bring the big brother, bring the little brother, and it's all right. And somebody who could bring a full pedal board of really nice pedals, and he brings that, and it's not bad for him. That's saying something right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I think there are some limitations to it, but I think it's quite adequate for what we need.
Yeah.
Needs versus wants again.
Yeah. But the thing is, we don't really need that, right? We want it as a convenient solution. But the thing is, will we actually take their step after we've got that convenient solution, and it actually scratches every itch to get rid of all that stuff we don't need now? Those cool looking pedals we have on the floor. Right?
Here's the thing I experienced when my Kemper was away. I love pedals. I love the look of them. I love the art that's on them. Just just how it's designed. I love the story behind it. The names that they're called, how they brand them. But when it comes down to it, I like hitting one button and all my settings pop up, where I want my distortion, where I need my reverb and my delay. And that's just where I like it. And that's how I like it, because I'd rather focus on messing up my lines.
Yeah.
I'd rather just be more aware that I'm screwing up than trying to hit buttons.
Yeah, and it doesn't. You know what? To be honest, it just doesn't sound that much different out in the house, and that's the real thing. It's like you got to think about how much work you're putting into something to feel good about how it happens to look, and how you're the physical feeling of touching those buttons and moving them around and moving those knobs and twiddling it, and they're not hearing anything different out in the house. They're hearing an electric guitar whittly whittling, hopefully playing the part kind of right. If they're hearing that at all. Especially at church, where basically by the time everybody's singing, you're gone. Yeah.
Yeah. You just need a manageable amount of pedals. That's all you need.
We do. That's definitely true. which we've all decided is 10 to 12.
10 to 12.
10 to 12.
Yeah.
To me, my ideal pedal board would be like to only have probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, but you're gonna have a couple extra drives in there, man.
Yeah.
After you get your gain stages set up, you'd have to have a couple extra drives. That's the thing. I don't like a lot of hair, but once you set up your drives right, it's like, man, you gotta have another one just to kind of boost that drive or warm it up, or give you a different sound or a lead sound. Then that's the thing. Then you get 5. And then you're like, oh, hang on a second, I need another delay.
Yeah. I need to run a chorus and the effects loop of this delay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't use a lot is modulation. And I love chorus and I love like tremolo, but unless the song specifically calls for it that I'm learning, I just don't use those things. I basically use delay, reverb, and various amounts of gain, and that's it.
Yeah. Have you ever taken a tremolo and just turned it so that it's just a really light throb, and then use that as a boost? Just a really light, and it's something really kind of special instead of using just a straight up boost or straight up drive, because what it does is it kind of gives a little bit of life to the note, rather than that hard chop tremolo that a lot of people use, the typical amp sounding thing. You just make it have a little tiny kind of pulse.
Yeah.
And it does a lot for your, especially if you put it after the drive. It does a lot of interesting things. It just warms up a sound. I don't know. If I had to pick one effect besides reverb or delay, it would have to be tremolo.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well. Especially, I mean, here we go again. But I love a tremolo on an amp. I'm a sucker for it.
Oh man, yeah.
So,
yep.
Well, let's change gears here for a minute, and we've talked a lot about this. We're all playing in different situations, but we're all gearing up towards Christmas. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? We'll start with you, Michael. You shared earlier a little bit about it, but briefly walk us through what you're looking at for the Christmas season.
Okay, so I play at a church that does a pretty big production every year, and it's a full orchestra, a full choir. They even bring in extra orchestra folks, stringed instruments, cellos. I mean, the whole gambit of an orchestra. It's just, very extensive, and they do a fantastic job. I'm looking at my sheet music, and I have like 10 songs I'm playing on. And I have about 40 pages or more of sheet music, and these songs are not guitar driven at all, and so the parts on them they're just different. It's not a song where the song starts and you start strumming, or you have this like simple little line that you repeat throughout the whole thing. It's just not your typical praise and worship song that is not necessarily super easy to learn, but it's at least, I don't know, it's it's not super hard, but it's not super easy either. But this is just completely shifting gears, and it just really challenges me as a player, because literally today I was practicing, and the sheet music is here, and not all the time, but sometimes they actually have the notes that are written out, and I have a hard time. I didn't grow up reading music, and I can get by if I sit down and look at it, but I usually write the notes. Like, I'll go find the note and write actually what it is above it, just so I have an easier reference. And I've gotten better at reading music. But anyway, long story short, it's just taking me forever to learn these songs. Like, I spent, I don't know, close to 2 hours on one song today.
Yeah.
Just because I went through it, and then I kind of chop it up, bar by bar, or at least this little phrase that I'll learn. Then I'll learn the next phrase, and then I'll try to combine the two, and then I'll go on to the next part. And by the time I get to the end of the song, I'll start at the beginning of the song, and I'll forget, and then yeah, I was supposed to do that there. And so it's just a matter of learning it and memorizing it to some extent, because since I don't read the music very well, and I usually write crazy. If people saw my notes, they'd be like, what is he writing? It just takes me a while, and it's lack of musicianship on my end to learn these, because it's just not a guitar riff that's, I don't know, it's just not very guitar driven, so it feels like I'm playing a different instrument in the band, if that makes sense.
Totally.
And then I have the electric guitar tracks, which means that pretty much everything is low except the electric guitar, so I hear the electric guitar very loud and clear. And then if I try to practice with the actual song where everything's at the right levels that they're supposed to be, I don't hear a guitar. It's like, okay, I'm going to play this part, but I don't hear my part at all in this section. So, which hopefully when I play, I struggle with, I want to hear myself in the mix when I do a good job. And there are times when I'm very happy that the guitar is not very strong in the mix, because I'm not doing a very good job. And I struggle with that, because, if you play and you put effort in, you want to hear yourself. But at the same time, if you're not doing a very good job, you don't want to hear yourself, and you don't want other people to hear what you're doing. So I'm just trying to get through it, and I got like 8 or 9 days left, and just trying to fit in a half an hour here or an hour there that I can sit down and learn this stuff. And it stretches me for sure as a player, and it frustrates me, and I kind of complain about it, but it is what it is. And at the end of it, when it's done, I'll be happy I did it, and will feel that I've gained some things as a player from it, if that makes sense.
Right. What about you, Josh?
Well, I've been recently told that I may have to take a little bit more responsibility for leading this over the Christmas season, and I don't know if that's going to happen yet or not. But what I've always pushed for Christmas, and it's kind of the opposite of what Michael's saying, I've always pushed for, you know what? This is kind of the one time of the year that you can almost just start a song with a couple piano chords, and the congregation will take over. I mean, you really just, if you start a Christmas song with a couple piano chords and you sing the first couple words, you can kind of just stop. Nobody will even notice because they'll go off, they'll just start singing. And so I've always felt like, okay, I like a lot of the new Christmas, I like a lot of the stuff they do with Christmas stuff to make it interesting, make it cool. That's great. But here's the thing, what do people respond to? They respond to you giving them the chance to finally sing these songs they really, really know, and they don't have to take 3 weeks learning at church, And so to me, that's what I'm kind of talking to people about, is that if I'm going to be having a little bit more of that responsibility, what I'd like to do is have outside, have a set of Christmas music, maybe have it building up as you get closer to the season. I don't know what we're doing I think that if we switch to Advent, though, if we're doing an Advent type of series, you ought to save the Christmas music for Christmas Day and after, and not do it at all before, because that's part of Advent. You're waiting for that. You're expecting that, right? But as far as preparing for it, basically, I've just been working on my voice a lot, because now the biggest thing that leading these few times has taught me is that I've got definite weaknesses there, I've gotten to the point where now I can sing for 3 hours and be able to speak afterwards, which that's something I never expected to be able to do. I never expected to be able to do that. But just being able to hit those E, F, G, G sharp, A, those notes up above the break, I've been working really hard at that, because Christmas songs, that's one thing with Christmas songs, even though everybody knows them and everybody can sing them, they're actually a lot more challenging to lead vocally than other songs, because everybody knows them so well. They can really hear a mistake vocally if you're on the mic there. And if you're put up as high as you tend to be put up when you're leading, that's a big shift. And so for me, that's been the big preparation. As far as actually playing the songs, if we do them, we're going to do them in a pretty basic manner, and I'm kind of hoping that I can convince everybody that probably just having the piano start it, because there's just something really special, and just basically going kind of acoustic with it. There's something really special about that, about everybody singing songs they really know and love. Now, here's the thing: I don't feel like a lot of this is getting into a little theology. I don't feel a lot of Christmas music is worship music,
Totally.
And that's maybe a little bit of theology there, but I feel like... Okay,
you mean Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer isn't some kind of theology, statement?
I wouldn't doubt it. There's 1,000 articles, 1,000 cheeseball Facebook post style articles breaking it down into something, which I hate. Yeah. But you can't get on people for putting them up, because you know it's the sweet old grandma that's putting them up, and it's like, okay, Grandma.
That's not like you to hate things, Josh. It's like you're grumpy or something. That's just not like you at all.
Well, oh, man. I mean, there's this I can say this. There's this BS meter that kind of goes off in me, and it's like, yeah, okay. You're like, trying to put too much meaning into a candy cane or too much meaning into a Christmas tree. It's a good mnemonic device, I guess, but don't make it your theology, dude.
Yeah.
So pretty much that meter stays throttled all the time then, huh?
You know what? There's gradients between 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. And
It's just-
most of the time when I talk to you, it's about a 9. And no, I'm just messing with you.
You're welcome.
I'm just messing with you, Mike.
You're welcome. I set the bar for other things to be a little lower, so you're not mad all the time.
No, man. No, man, I love you.
Can I just say? I really loved what you said about making it simple and piano. I grew up in a very small Baptist church, and we sang the hymns, and so those things are very, very nostalgic to me. And there's something sweet about a small congregation of folks who really aren't great at singing those songs.
Yeah.
And it's just so nostalgic for me. And the church I'm actually a member of is a little tiny church, and I play guitar. I fill in as needed at this other bigger church. But the church I'm actually a member of is like the church I grew up in. And we do those Christmas hymns. Now, the difference is my mother-in-law plays piano. She has a doctorate in music. She's fantastic. So the piano parts are really, really good. But the other things, and I'm not saying anything bad about the singing. It's just they're not professional singers. They're an older generation.
They're singers. They're just people who sing.
Yeah, they're just people who sing, and there's just something so sweet about that to me. And I just love that. It just brings back my childhood.
Yeah.
And just so much magic to that time.
Yeah.
So anyway, I really, really love that. And I think that's one of the reasons I love Christmas, honestly.
You know, that kind of reminds me, like when I went to this, I go to an old time jam once a month, and I was talking about this with you guys where I choked a little bit on some of the stuff I was doing. But then I realized, you know what? Just now, almost everybody was picking Christmas songs because we're not meeting over Christmas. And so it's like maybe it's just in comparison because everybody knew the Christmas song so well. And so yeah, we have some mountain dulcimers there, so it's gonna all be in like D. So we just ended up playing it in D and G and C and playing a bunch of Christmas songs. And there is something special about that because we have all levels of players. There are really experienced players, really new players, people who just picked up their instrument. And there's something really special about everybody getting together and playing a song that they've known since they were 3 years old. Or singing a song that they've known since they were 3 years old. And to me, I think sometimes when we try to make it cool, we're really missing out on something that's already there and is good. I mean, I love cool stuff. I mean, I love that there's a lot of... we used to play an arrangement of What Child Is This? That I called Who Dat Kid? Because it was kind of we would syncopate the heck out of it.
Was that in the 90s?
No, I would no, it was kind of I think it was Jars of Clay, or it was somebody that did this arrangement that was like really really kind of syncopated, and they were having for several years they would break it down to do acoustic Christmas, and the only thing I could do is play kind of funk guitar style seventh chords on my mandolin for this song.
Nice.
And so it ended up being Who Dat Kid rather than What Child Is This? And and I
love that.
It was a lot of fun to play, but I'll tell you that on the night when we would on say if Christmas Eve fell on a night that was actually a worship or a night where you could have a service. If you broke it down, you put the lights down, and you put the piano up, the response was so much greater, right? And so for me, I mean, I love all the fresh stuff. I love new stuff, but it's like there's some things you don't change very much. There's some things that are just kind of not sacred in the way of like holy, but there's some things that are socially sacred, you know, that you don't mess with. Don't change the melody of a Christmas song to try to make it cool.
Chris Tomlin. I'm just joking.
Yeah. No. He adds choruses.
I think that's where
I'm calling him out right now.
What about you, Clifton?
Well, I could segue into this is how I've approached Christmas the last several years. I have done some of those big, huge opener like Chris Tomlin type songs, like the Joy to the World, like that's got the rock 4 on the floor thing going on. It makes it easy for your band But the melodies and the lyrics aren't different. It's just the arrangement's different because you can play it with a worship band.
Yeah.
I'm doing. It's unique every year depending on like what we're doing for Christmas. There's been some years where we're gonna play every week up till Christmas. Where like, and usually like next week, I mean this coming Sunday, I'm gonna be doing like probably one Christmas song. I'm gonna throw in there. I've got some in rehearsal, like a couple that I'm throwing in. So by the time we get like the week before Christmas, we're like doing strictly Christmas music. And some years like we'll have a Christmas Eve service where like I use like the piano player we've got who's classically trained, and he's gonna play and kind of I'm just gonna lead those songs with him playing. And I might lean a little bit more into something more traditional. I think this year we're doing the children's group is gonna be doing about 4 songs the Sunday before Christmas, and so I have a list of those songs, and some of those are ones that I traditionally do, so I'm trying to plan where I'm not going to step on anybody's toes and stay out of their way, but still do something that's, meaningful. And so I'm kind of approaching it from that angle. There's a few over the last few years that are kind of my go-tos. Like, there's like a Paul Balash, For Unto Us, A Child Is Born, that goes into... I never do Open the Eyes of My Heart anymore, but around Christmas I'll do it because those flow together. There's another one he does, King of Heaven.
That's a good one.
That we kind of, it's not heavy on rotation anymore, but there's a Christmas chorus that goes with that I can, I do that heavy during Christmas. I still do like Jesus Messiah, like the Tomlin and the Joy to the World, and I think there's Angels We Have Heard on High that's kind of upbeat that I do. So like, yeah, I'm trying to incorporate all those classic tunes, and I don't try to get into like the First Noels or the It Came Upon a Midnight Clear or like those that maybe aren't as recognizable. People like them, but they're more performance pieces.
I love those, man. I love those, but they are odd.
I love them too in the right context. Like if I'm gonna sit down with a piano player and have him like basically lead, that would be the kind of stuff I would do.
Yes,
like,
exactly. Those are very much piano
the bass
songs.
and drums, and yeah, if I'm gonna be leading on a guitar with the bass and drums, then I'm probably gonna keep it more like revert to that Tomlin type style of leading. So
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we did that too. We've actually did those songs full band, and it's something.
Yeah,
it's something.
Can I just add one thing, harking back to what Josh said about these songs that we've been singing since we were 3 or 4 years old? My daughter's almost 4, and it's the sweetest thing to hear her sing some of these Christmas songs, and the melody's not quite right, and the lyrics aren't quite right. But it's just so dang sweet for her to try to piece some of these songs together, and I just love it. It just melts my heart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of one of those things. When you're in a tradition, you're trying to hand it down to your children, and you want them to pick up on these things, but then at the same time, you want them to do their own thing, but you do want them to carry some things with them, right? And
yes.
so,
oh yeah.
So there's like that balance between that, and I don't know. I think the good stuff will resonate with the next generation. It always does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those songs aren't around for that long.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff I'm doing right now, those arrangements, they're going to be outdated in 10, 15 years, and nobody's going to be doing them anymore. Something else is going to be the norm, but those classic tunes and the melodies, they're going to be around probably as long as our culture, is around. So, which brings us to this next thing. I thought it'd be fun to bring up in the group some of our favorite Christmas songs and maybe even Christmas movies.
Let's do Christmas movies.
Let me preface. Yeah, let's do Christmas movies, but let me preface this. If a lot of you guys play and sing. Last year we kind of did it a little differently, but I would like to collect some of you guys who do play and attempt to do these songs. Some covers of Christmas music, if you will. You can go live. You can submit a video, or if you have a track that you've been working on that's fresh, maybe something that we had featured on the show before. I would love to hear that, and maybe we can kind of pass it around and share it in this group, and it kind of be a thing where our community comes together here at Christmas time. So if you've got a Christmas track, send it to me, and I would love to take a listen to it. Christmas movies, though, what I don't know, guys, give me like your top 3. Is that too many?
You want me to go first?
Michael. Yeah, Michael, go ahead.
All right. Top 3. Christmas Vacation, Elf, and the old Rudolph stop animation. Those are probably I love those, man. I love that.
Yeah.
You see, I always thought that the stop frame animation, they all look like they smelled horrible.
I never thought about the smell of them.
But I had fun watching them. I love watching them, but it's like, I don't think I want to be within 10 feet of any of that stuff. But I love watching them.
We actually watch Christmas Vacation on Thanksgiving Day for our family, and that's kind of a tradition. And then
nice.
Elf, I'll watch several times, and I actually introduced that movie to my daughter this year. One of the things I love about Elf is there are so many memes that you can use that just are so appropriate. And I just want to give a shout out to Brett, who is like the meme king. Who that dude posts so many. Brett Alexander, he posts so many funny things. If you aren't Facebook friends with him, you got to be, because he posts some of the funniest things. And I'm sorry I'm off topic here, but I told him I'd talk about him, so there you go. Anyway, seriously, that dude posts so many funny things. It's amazing. I always get a chuckle at his feed.
Yeah.
So anyway, Elf is just one of the funny. It's just so funny. And I think the Rudolph thing is more of a nostalgic. That's what I grew up with, and I could go into a whole spiel of nostalgic movies that I grew up with. But I'm going to pick those 3 as my top 3. What about you, Josh?
Okay, the original Grinch, the Jim Carrey Grinch, and then the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch.
That is so you. All of them. They just fit your personality.
Actually, I'll tell you.
Are you sure Christmas Carol isn't in there somewhere?
I'll tell you. Actually.
The Muppets Christmas Carol, probably. Humbug.
Actually, you know what? I really liked. There's a Christmas Carol. Actually, I like all the Christmas carols too. I think that those like, I like the one that they did with Jim Carrey a few years ago, the CGI one, and I like that a lot. And I liked they did one with Patrick Stewart that was really good, Christmas Carol, that I liked a lot back in the day. But no, it's probably
I immediately thought of Patrick Swayze.
yeah.
And then I thought of that scene from Ghost.
You see, everybody in the town danced all the time, and he didn't want him to. Footloose reference there, isn't it? But
yes.
Anyway, yeah, the probably I would have to say the original Grinch, the one with the one with the great Boris Karloff as a voice, and I like that a lot. I like the original song a lot, and so I would always look forward to watching that. Let's see here. I really had a soft spot for the Charlie Brown Christmas special because of the great music in it. All of the Christmas specials from the Charlie Brown stuff, I love the music in it so much. And basically, that was an introduction to jazz. It's really wonderful music in that. And then probably the third thing that I really like, I can't pick Elf because Elf is already picked by Michael, but Michael,
you can pick Elf.
Is
That's
a great
fine.
one. No,
you can
I'm
tell
not
us your
gonna pick
reason.
Elf.
You can tell us your reasons why, though. I mean, you can pick Elf.
Oh well, I don't know. Probably the last one, and you're gonna laugh, is actually the Polar Express movie, because my son loved it so much that watching it with him is what made me enjoy it.
That's awesome.
It's creepy as heck, really, because it's early CGI, and I don't think they had a huge budget, so every face was acted by Tom Hanks, and so it's all a little bit creepy because they don't move a lot, the faces and stuff like that. But watching my son watch the Polar Express over and over and over again, just love it, is something. And the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, perfect Christmas movie. Really uplifting, it's joyful, especially the one where the guy gets the chicken and gets rid of the baggage.
I've yet to catch
Man,
that
I
one.
love that.
Oh my gosh, it is not Christmas.
It
It is depressing. If you want to be depressed and cry, then yes, watch that.
Dude, I laughed so hard at the end of every one of those. It was wonderful. That was the most uplifting movie I have seen in a long time. It's just like joyful. There's just joy throughout that whole movie.
Can I ask you something about that show?
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, Clifton. Was it the last one where they were in the stagecoach and they were hauling the dead guy above, and the two guys were they were in charge of the body? Was everybody dead in that stagecoach? Is that what was happening?
I kind of thought I won't give it away, but I'll say you should probably watch it and be real careful to read the at the end of every little vignette. Read as the book is closing and shifting, because if you pause it, you can read the end, and it gives you a whole new perspective of each one of those little vignettes.
I'm not reading anything. I'm not going back and reading that.
Well,
I can't read. Okay.
Oh well, I mean, I could kind of tell by the accent, but
well, thank you. You like my West Virginia accent? You got some moonshine up in there?
No,
it's almost Christmas time.
But seriously, I forgot Nightmare Before Christmas. That's another good one.
Is that? Did my voice make you think of that?
Yeah.
No. It's just that.
The Hills Have Eyes, Christmas edition.
Oh yeah, actually, there is a couple of horror movies that I used to watch all the time on Christmas. Actually, my first response was going to be the movies that I got on Christmas in various years. But actually, I think that's pretty good. I think those are kind of the movies that I really like. I don't like a lot of depth in my Christmas movies, really. Give me a nice grumpy character and I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much you in general, though. Can I say one thing before Clifton goes?
Of course you can.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It may take place during Christmas. There may be some Christmas things in it, but it is not a Christmas movie.
You are going to get some flack for that, dude.
It's a fine movie, but it's not.
No, it's a terrible movie. But
well, I mean, it's loved for a reason, and I'll just leave it at that. But it may take place during Christmas, but it's not a Christmas movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can do the hot dog sandwich thing.
But I'm taking the other side of things now. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Clifton.
Okay, I'm gonna have to borrow one from you, Michael, and say that Christmas Vacation, like right now, is my most favorite one. And I think, okay, so I'm gonna kind of walk through why. That one's my most favorite because, like, I think for the stage of life, like having kids and now I'm like doing Christmas as an adult. like that one just resonates with me. Like all it is a sketch comedy, like bundled into a movie, right? But like just the progression of everything that happens in the holiday season is an exaggeration of what most of us face, right? And so I just get a kick out of that one. I think I can relate to that one just on so many levels. I think Home Alone is probably one of my top
good
three.
One. That is a good one.
Because like ever since I was a kid, you know, like that was huge when I was a kid, and one of my favorite ones. And like I can still watch that one and just like laugh my head off when he's got all the things at the end, you know, the traps for the robbers. And
I thought Ryan Burke was really good in that
great
movie.
It is so unrealistic. Who?
Ryan Burke. I thought he did a great job in that movie. He was one of the robbers.
Yeah, he's like ageless, dude. I mean, that was like a long time ago, and he still looks exactly the same.
I don't know. He looks a little older there. He's somehow reversed aging.
It's that California diet.
I'm sorry. There's so many Ryan Burks that pop up though. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is just it's hilarious. And so, and I'd even say like Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2 like are both great. They just I mean, anyways, I won't get off talking on it. I think if I'm gonna pick a classic Christmas movie though as my third, it's got to be It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, that's good.
Just the storyline. Yeah, it's got that stereotypical like 1940s, 50s kind of you know, dialogue, whatever, and some of it's dated, but I think the story in it, you know, the guy and he's struggling at Christmas time, and how everybody comes out in the community to kind of help him at the end. I think it's a wonderful movie, and that's always been one of my favorites. So that wraps up the Christmas movie section. I would love to hear our listeners' thoughts on this and maybe add to the list. And no, I have not seen Die Hard, as strange as that may be.
Whoa, you may get more flack for that than me saying what I did. Now, it's been a while since I've watched Die Hard. But, really, it's been a long time.
I would love to see it. I just haven't seen it, so I can't weigh in on if it's a Christmas movie or not.
Well, don't watch it with your kids.
Oh, Gremlins! I forgot Gremlins. That's a great Christmas movie.
Is that a Christmas movie?
Yeah, man, it happens during Christmas.
No, it's not a Christmas movie.
They're like chasing Santas around and stuff, I think, and like, oh man, that is 100% a Christmas movie.
If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then yes, that's a Christmas movie, but otherwise, it's not.
It was a Christmas present. The Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
I don't know about that.
Well,
Ernest Saves Christmas. That's the movie we need to be talking about. Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, my goodness.
That back in the day. So bad.
Yeah. All of them. All the Ernest movies.
They did not age.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap this up, and just thought guys, I've had a fun time just whirly birding around and letting our hair down, and you know, not following a tight schedule, but I do want to remind you guys of a few things, listeners. First of all, I just encourage you guys to check out the Patreon page. Slowly but surely, we've been adding a few Patreons and come on board to help support the show. Really appreciate that. You guys know who you are. I'm not going to name names. But thank y'all for that. And that does help produce this show and keep it going. And also helps when I go to these things like NAMM, and helps continue to help me capture that content for you guys. And that's what I want to do, is just be of value to you as a listener, and hope you guys get as much out of it as I do getting to create it. So would love to you guys to check that out. And the main thing that would be super helpful right now, and I want to encourage you guys, I've not asked for this in the past, but very much, but if you would be willing to review on iTunes, and also if you've got some friends who would dig this show, help introduce it to them and recommend it to them, and even consider adding them to the Facebook group. The more people we have there, the more discussion and interaction we can have, and so would appreciate that. But until next time, thank y'all for listening, and let's keep the discussion going in the group, and I'll talk to you guys later.